Alright, Overspeed System, Section 8, Description and Operation. The function of overspeed system is to protect locomotive power plant, preventing excessive rotational speed. Overspeed system consists of the following principal components: overspeed governor to operate overspeed shutdown butterfly valves, each hydraulic actuated connected to mechanical leakage. A diaphragm operated fuel cutoff actuating valve and associated interconnecting locking lines. Overspeed governor is located to the right side of the engine, below the engine speed control governor. Like the speed control governor is driven with the right bank of the camshaft gear through the governor drive gearing. Downward during normal engine operation, overspeed governor delivers engine lubrication at a regulated pressure of 200 psi. Actuators to overspeed shutting down butterflies. These valves are mounted one on each side of the engine between the air outlets for the intercoolers and the first section air intake manifolds. Overspeed shutdown butterfly valves are shown across section 8.3. When opening, they permit the airflow from the intercoolers intake manifolds. When the closed air supply to the engine is cut off, the actuators of the butterflies are constructed very much like an air brake cylinder, oil and under pressure. Shows 8.1 shows the engine overspeed governor arrangement, and then your 8.2 shows the butterfly valve arrangement right side. Alright, and then 8.3 shows your overspeed butterfly actuator. 1 being your butterfly actuator, 2 piston washer, 3 oil drain connection, 4 O-ring, 6 lever, 6 lever links on 7 lever, 8 roller pins, 9 butterfly valve oil, 10 oil supply connection piston ring, 12 piston ring spring, 13 gasket, 14 oil seal, 15 shim, 16 bearings, 17 butterfly valve shaft. Alright, from the overspeed governor cuff of the actuator piston to advance opening the butterfly valve of the engine, overspeed detected for the overspeed governor. The governor quickly cuts off the oil pressure for the butterfly valve actuator, permits the lines to drain the actuator spring, returns the piston, closing the butterfly valve, cutting off the air supply to both cylinder banks. During operation, overspeed governor draw with the lubricating oil delivers through the actuators from a small reservoir with the governor drain gear housing with the engine running in oil, but the preserve is constantly replenished with the main lube air oil header. Oil connections in the actuator bodies are marked in the cast raised letters in and out of the oil flow of the overspeed governor through the pipe mount along with the right side of the engine to the in connection of the right bank actuator. The oil pressure moves from the piston to the right bank actuator to full open position. Oil flows from the output port through the crossover pipe to the inlet port of the left bank in the actuator figure 8.2. When the left bank actuator piston is fully open, flows to the output port through the pipe mounted to the left side of the engine connection with the overspeed fuel shutdown valve of the main control governor. Pressure from the overspeed system applied with the fuel shutoff valve cover to the bypass port in the governor's speed setting servo system closing, allowing the governor to function normally and supplying fuel into the cylinders. Care should be used in connecting oil line and actuator to be sure hoses are connected in the proper in and out ports. Check the actuator. Pistons move smoothly to the open position in the proper sequence when the engine is cranked down to prevent the overheating of the oil being pumped from the butterfly actuator overspeed governor to the composed of the overspeed system. The actuators are built intentionally leaky, so that a small amount of oil circulates through them in the crankcase at the same time. The feature has a hastening dumping of the oil, which is and the actuator closing the butterfly valves will overspeed detect. The overspeed system is fail-safe in operation, and broken oil loss of engine of the governor failure will stop the diesel engine. Now, if an engine shutdown occurs during the speed and investigate the causes, make necessary the repairs before attempting to start the engine. Reset the overspeed governor by depressing the reset button. Alright, your overspeed governor description. The governor main body contains the following components: 1, a pilot valve plunger with a speed spring and linkage. 2, pilot weights mounted on each end of the drive shaft. Lower power piston, the end of which is mounted with a terminal lever, and an oil pressure relief valve mounted on the side of the governor case. And then the base portion contains a positive displacement gear pump. The outer case portion contains a lockout latching motion. 8.4 shows your piston overspeed governor with the cover removed. Alright, operation engine running normal speed range. See figure 8.5. Note the engine overspeed governor is mounted with the drive shaft horizontal. Figure 8.5 and 8.6 for the governor is shown with the drive shaft vertical. The following test refers to the governor as it shuts down. Figures not as it is mounted on the engine. The reset spring overspeed lockout rod will position the terminal lever to hold the power piston down and its bore lockout latch release. The downward pressure of the speed string as set by adjusting trip speed setting screw will hold the flyweights and pilot plunger down. In these bore positions, with the bottom of the power piston with the connect with the drain of the engine sump through the ports and pilot valve of the bushing and with the groove of the pilot valve of the plunger through the slanting of the hole drill from the groove of the lower end of the pilot valve plunger. For oil pressure under pressure, the oil under pressure of 200 psi of the pump is delivered through the porting pilot valve, pushing around with the pilot valve plunger out of the power piston. With the piston down, the oil can flow around with the lower grooves and out of the governor case of the connection line to the butterfly valve of the actuators. Note the upper groove of the power piston will assume the containing under pressure to be beneath the drill holes connecting to the lower groove. It also slot with the pilot valve plunger below the port connection with the power piston connected to pressurized oil with the pilot valve bushing and through a secondary diagonally drilled hole. Alright, this shows your governor picture operating at normal speeds. The flyweights, your drain to sump, drain from engine, your pressure hydraulically operated butterfly stuff, and trip condition resistant oil overspeed. Alright, continuing chapter 8, your overspeed system. Alright, engine overspeed, trip action, piston type valve, see figure 8.6 of the engine speed. Increase with the overspeed setting with the flyweights will move outward, raise the pilot valve plunger, begin the pressurized oil slot in the line of the port connected to the power piston. The pressurized flowing under the power piston will force the piston up, closing off the supply of the pressurized oil for the butterfly actuator. This will position the upper groove in the position above the top of the power piston bore. This allows all the butterfly valve actuator to flow in between back from the hose connection with the two groove of the power piston and over the flyweight head of the cavity governor catheter down with the drain hole of the engine sump. This relief of the spring-loaded butterfly valve piston butterfly closes, shutting off the engine air supply. Upward movement of the power piston trip of the position rotate with the terminal lever the raising the end of the floating lever of the CSB drop bracket pin. These reduce the pressure of the speed spring and allow the flyweights to move out quickly. Rotation with the terminal lever also pushes the overspeed lockout rod pack until the lockout latch engages, raises the reset button. Trip indicator reset visual indication with the unit trip position provided with a red band below the reset button. Visual with the button is upset with the reset the governor following an overspeed trip. The push down with the reset button. Adjustments. Only qualified personnel should be permitted to make the adjustments over the overspeed governor. The governor has 2 points over the adjustment of the speed droop bracket located inside of the governor on the terminal lever must be in a mid-position trip point. Setting screw with the governor covered with the must be adjusted provided trip action specified overspeed for the engine. Trip adjustment procedure, direct reading accurately calibrated tachometer necessary to read the engine crankshaft speed. With adjusting the trip speed, the tachometer be applied with the tachometer drive opening located with the governor drive gear case just behind the overspeed governor. See data for proper governor trip speed. Caution, under no circumstances will allow the diesel engine crankshaft speed to exceed the specified trip RPM. If the warning is not heeded, the excessive damage could result, but only qualified personnel should be determined with the overspeed test, make necessary adjustment to overspeed governor mounted on the diesel engine. Check the overspeed system with the proper operation running the engine number 6. There is no load back out of the trip. Just ensure note the number of terms required for the call for the engine to shut down. If the shutdown does not occur, the investigate the cause of the before proceeding. Return the trip adjusting screw with the original position. Return the throttle hand to the idle. Reset with the overspeed governor to start the engine. Run the engine number 8 and notch 8 no load. Using a pry bar under the governor power piston. Increase the engine speed to 1130 RPMs. Note the speed of the overspeed governor trip action occur that must never be allowed to exceed 1130 RPMs. Lower the trip speed back off the trip adjusting screw. Raise the trip speed screw in the trip adjusting screw. When trip adjustments have been completed, the governor is ready for service. The lock of the trip set setting with the screw using a sealing wire to prevent a misadjustment by tampering. Our data system: hydraulic oil, engine lube oil pressure during normal operation 200 psi. Governor crankshaft speed ratio 3.465 to 1. Pressure relief valve setting non-adjustable 200 psi. Governor trip speed. Crankshaft RPM 1130 to 10 by in 10. Tachometer drive RPM 1677 plus or minus 10. Alright, section 9. Your engine control governor.